Surprise, motherfucker. What's up? This is your friendly neighborhood Venger Satanis. It is a Saturday morning, cold and snowing, even though it's April 22nd. So it goes. This is Wisconsin. Okay, so I was, I got sucked into this thread on Bud Light and, you know, Dylan Mulvaney, that guy, transgenderism, all that jazz. I didn't want to, but you know, you see people wrong on the internet, and some of us just have a lack of willpower to resist correcting them, right? So yes, I fell into that, like I sometimes do. I should be working on, I don't know, anything else, cult related stuff, maybe a new adventure. Besides Big Geek Emporium, there's at least one other PDF role playing game retailer that's coming on the market, and I want to create some exclusive content for those platforms just to give them a little bump, an edge, something to help them compete with, you know, the 800-pound gorilla in our industry. Anyway, but I'll get to that next week after. I don't know. Okay, so on Facebook, okay, so I responded to this guy who was in favor of the Bud Light ad and against the people pushing back, because apparently there's a billboard for Bud Light, and it called the people who were boycotting it or complaining or protesting or whatever crybabies. And the left loves to do this too. The left loves to use our language to suit their purposes, so they call us crybabies and they call us snowflakes. When we finally stand up and we're like, hey, this isn't right. What are you doing? And we actually like take an interest and look at what they're doing, and then they're like, oh, why are you crying about it? It's like, we see what you're doing and we're not a fan, so we're going to criticize and get in on this, discuss it. We're going to discuss the topic. And they're like, why are you noticing? Why are you pouncing on us, Republicans? Why are you crying? Are you crying? Are you crying about it? Why are you crying? Just because we want to cut off your kid's junk at 11 years old? Why are you crying? So much delusion, so much cope. Anyway, so yeah, most of my videos are not politically or cultural warfare, cultural war, stuff like that. But this one is, obviously. So anyway, bear with me. If you don't like that stuff, feel free to turn this video off. Okay. Okay, so I posted regarding the ad campaign, the Bud Light ad campaign. I said, aren't they normalizing transgenderism, and isn't that an existential threat to the American way of life? Now, Michael Knowles did a CPAC speech very recently where he called for the eradication of transgenderism in our country. And that is a position that is now a mainstream right-wing position that is being talked about all over the place by hopefuls in the nominee process for the next Republican president, people in Congress, in the Senate, obviously pundits like Michael Knowles, and that those values are shared by Ben Shapiro, Michael Walsh, and Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh. Tim Pool, conservative, sort of right-leaning fence sitters and centrists. of which I would consider myself. I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself a right wing extremist or anything like that. I've just got moderately conservative views, but normally I'm a moderate and a centrist. Anyway, but all I'm saying is that is now a perfectly rational view on the right side of things. That transgenderism is an existential threat to the United States, and we shouldn't tolerate it because it's starting to turn everything upside down. And when we can't agree on the basics of objective reality, like what men and women are, and how they're not mutable, then we've kind of lost everything, and we no longer have a country or a society that's functional. And if you look at all the civil unrest and chaos going on, you can kind of see the breakdown. Anyway, so I posted that, did it as a Facebook comments on this Bud Light ad thread. And then, okay, so he responds, A, yep, because it is normal. Transgender people have been a part of the human experience for all of its existence. And B, nope, sorry, no threat whatsoever. Because they don't even want to like speculate, like, could this have implications in the future that are not good? They don't even want to. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. They don't want to. It's a cult, it's part of the leftism cult. They don't even want to pretend that, we have a point or that there's such a thing as a slippery slope. That the legalization of gay marriage, for instance, would eventually lead to transing the kids in fourth grade, stuff like that, and teaching them about gay sex, genderqueer, and as well as the whole critical race theory. Teaching your third grader that they should feel bad for their white skin or something like that, or they're forever tainted by white privilege and therefore should have all their opportunities taken away, or they should feel bad about themselves, or the United States is systemically racist and so it should just be torn down. That is the talk of revolutionaries and radicals, and that has no place in the United States as far as I'm concerned. Okay, where were we? Where were we? Okay, and they're also because I've heard this argument before, so they bring this up all the time. Like, transgender people have always been among us. It's like, no, they haven't. Not, not really. Not anything remotely like today. There have always been, weird sexual deviants and perverts and men who wore dresses and Mulan pretended to be a boy so she could fight against China or whatever in that movie. I don't know. So, but they always point like, oh, see, it's perfectly normal because it's always been here. It's like, okay, it's not. I thought the left didn't like words like that, like normal. But of course, they use it to their advantage when they have the opportunity. It's ridiculous. And then here's my last response. And I thought it was particularly good, which is why I'm making the video. I thought it was a nice analogy. And I don't know. If you like it, feel free to use it yourself. It'd be nice if you attributed it to me, but you don't have to. Feel free to steal it, borrow it, do whatever. I give you permission. Yeah, let's dive in. Okay, this is my response. First, I deny your premise. Nice try, leftist. Keeping it nice and clean because it's a public thing on Facebook. Sort of wanted to call him a leftist scum, but I resisted that urge. Okay, because I'm civil. All right, second, flat earthers actually have been with us forever. But just imagine what would happen if they gained a superinflated amount of prominence and credence in the media, politics, business, education, and tech spheres. We'd be making actual policy decisions that affect people's lives based on a false premise that the earth is flat. I don't care how many flat earthers are among us, it goes against objective reality. I think that's a pretty good analogy. Um, sure, flat earthers are technically entitled to their belief. If they want to believe that the earth is flat, yeah, I'm not going to, bust into their house. And I don't support, you know, government agencies or the police or anyone else to break down their door and shake them and be like, you must believe that the earth is round. But on the other hand, if you're actually governing our country with the idea that the earth is flat, that's going to lead to a lot of problems. Because it's not true. It's a delusion. You're pretending that the earth is flat or could be flat, but it's really not. And if you're, basing, so think of how many things would be different in our country, how many laws and decisions would be made wrongly because a small faction of people that believed that the earth was flat suddenly took power. It would change a lot of things, and 99% of those things would be for the worse because the earth isn't flat, and we know that. And yet, scientifically, and these are the people that are like, science matters or whatever, or trust the science. They don't want to trust the science. They want ideological purity from you, me, and everybody. It is a cult. It's the church of atheistic progressivism. Secular. It's the church of secular progressivism. I don't know. This guy hasn't responded, and he probably won't. Or if he does, he'll just be like, no, transgenderism has always been with us. Maybe he'll double down on that. But anyway, I would like to know what other people think of that on both sides. Does that analogy hold up? I think it does. And can you see how that would be damaging to our country, to the people in it, just as a policy standard and on an individual basis? How long can you run a country based on a false premise without, either the corruption or the rot of not only bad ideas, but just a false premise, just eating away at it. It's like communism. Communism doesn't work for one reason, because human beings are the way they are. And you can try to change them, and you can keep that going for a while, but eventually you'll need stricter laws and harsher methods. And eventually it all leads to people being either imprisoned, tortured, murdered, a political genocide. And maybe that's what the left wants. I don't know. Some of them certainly do. But eventually it will crumble. Which is why eventually China will also crumble. Communist China. So, but that's another topic for another video. Anyway, hopefully you liked my flat earther transgenderism analogy. I would like to know what you think. So, Also, like and share, comment on this video. I probably won't be sharing it too far and wide because most of the groups that I share my videos in are for role playing game stuff, and most role playing game groups are not going to tolerate me talking about politics and culture war stuff. Um, they won't tolerate that. Some of them would tolerate it if I was on the correct side, the side of our elite overlords of wokeness. And then some just don't want politics altogether, which I can understand, but it definitely limits my reach with videos like this. So, yeah, if you want to see it other places, you're going to have to share it with your friends and other people, either of like mind or people that have an opposing view, and you want them to maybe see the other side. Maybe this will convince them. Probably not, because most people that have a certain opinion and agenda are kind of locked in until the forces around them force them to change. Um, but we can be that force, you and I. We can help change the atmosphere around the cult so it's less dire, less poisonous, less infectious, and maybe we can get back to fucking normal. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, the pendulum is swinging the other way, which means the violence will increase probably, which is really fucking sad. So stay safe out there and watch your ass.